What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the Locks DFS NBA breakdown video for November 27th, Wednesday. We got a 14-game NBA slate on tap. There is a lot to go through on this slate, honestly, so much that I'm really not going to honestly go through that much because there is some as relative to the slate, not going to get to as much as I would like. But we're going to talk about some of my favorite plays for cash, for GBP. Just a reminder, I am Buy Hardy on Twitter. Please hit me with a follow there before we get into the video. And I am Buy Hardy on DraftKings as well. And also, before we get into the video, be sure to check us out, locksdfs.com, where you can grab your pass. You will get our locks of every single slate, our player grades for every slate, as well as our value rankings, stud rankings, and analysis. You also get invited to our private Slack chat where we're answering questions, talking about, I actually post my highest exposed players in the Slack before lock, usually. So, yeah. Go ahead and get in there, locksdfs.com. Check us out. Give us a try. And with that said, let's go ahead and get into the video. One other thing I wanted to remind you guys, of course, per usual, if you comment on this video, we appreciate all you guys who comment. You'll be entered to win a free season pass from locksdfs.com. We'll be giving away that pass later in the week. So thank you guys so much for doing that. And let's go ahead and get into the video now. All right, so the most obvious play on DraftKings, this is going to be super chalk, but I also just have to talk about him, is Ricky Rubio at 5,500. For some reason, the DraftKings pricing algorithm has been making some mistakes over the past few days on these guys who have been injured and then are coming back. So Rubio is one of those guys. 24% usage rate, 29% assist rate, 15% defensive rebounding rate. Actually leads the team in defensive rebounding rate. Washington, the matchup he's got, 5th in pace. And Rubio is good for at least 30 minutes here. So, averaging 1.1 fantasy point per minute per game. He's pretty much going to crush value here. He's going to be in most of my lineups, to be honest with you. It's just too hard to overlook this price. He's just going to take up one of your guard spots. Can put him in utility. He's an awesome play. I don't really need to talk about him much more. But another guy who is in the same situation, I think, will also be very owned. Potentially not. There are a lot of other options in the slate, but Kemba Walker, 6.7K, guy who has a massive usage rate for them, averaging 1.15 fantasy points per minute this year so far, and good for at least 32 minutes in a pace-up game against Brooklyn. You see him at his price that's been up as high as 9K this year, and now he's 6,700. So of course, and especially what could keep people off of him is that his last few games before the injury, because he played almost the entire game before the injury. Or wait, no. Sorry, that's obviously the injury game. What am I talking about? I was 39 minutes. Yeah, so he gets injured here. But before that, he had only put up 30, 28, 27. So that could actually put people off of him, which is definitely interesting to me because I think he's an awesome smash cash play. 6.7K. The fact that you are going to pretty much regularly get at least 30 points out of him. Let's just say 30 as a floor. And you have the upside for 50. To be honest with you, if Kemba can hit his shots, I think that he is a tremendous play. Of course, I don't really need to say that because he's priced, 2,500 lower than he's been priced at this year at times. So yeah, he's an awesome play. Get plenty of exposure to him. I will plenty of exposure to him. If there is one between Rubio and Kemba, I'd rather be under the field on, depending on where the field is on each of them. It'd probably be Rubio, because I think Kemba has a higher upside because of his scoring. But both can do plenty of scoring. So, I plan to be at the field on both, but we'll just see how high owned they come in later in the day. Guy that I want to be over on for sure, and that I could see myself fading Kemba for in some of those spots, is Eric Bledsoe at 7.1K. I've talked about Eric Bledsoe before on the show. His usage rate gets a massive bump. His assist rate gets a massive bump. His defensive rebounding rate gets a massive bump without Chris Middleton on the floor. Projections are finally starting to catch up to that, and he's projecting as a very good play now. Obviously, it's tough match. Oh wait, no, that's a different note. Obviously, gets a solid matchup today against Atlanta. It is still paced down for Milwaukee. Milwaukee playing at a very fast pace, but a team that can run decently in pace with them. The issue is that the spread on this game is currently 14.5 points. Milwaukee's at home. They just played Atlanta. They won by 8 in Atlanta. So if this game stays within 8, then it's an awesome play. And I think the same thing goes for Giannis. Giannis is coming in completely unknown. And I know the price is expensive. 12.4K, moves up 600 after his 83-point explosion. I think this is actually the highest we've seen him be all year. So, and it's 12 game slate. So no one's gonna play Kemba. No one's gonna play Giannis. Like if you're 5% on Giannis, you're over on Giannis. No one's gonna play Giannis in this spot. But if this game stays close, Giannis, it has a very, very high ceiling, just like he did the other day. But someone that I don't plan to get much of. But the fact that he's gonna be unknown is definitely interesting. In such a good matchup. I just clicked on Atlanta. But yeah, on Bledsoe, just the fact that he's coming in so low owned, and I think he has a floor of like 32, even if he's only playing like 32 minutes, or if he's playing like 30 minutes, then I still think he can reach the upside. So, yeah, those guys are two solid plays for Milwaukee. Hopefully that game stays close and they can reach their ceiling. And then one more cheap guy that that just mispriced still for us is Malcolm Brogdon at 6.8K. Like we said last video, a guy who was priced 8K, priced in the mid 7s before his injury, comes back, gets 6K. He hits value. Probably was, I don't remember the winning GPP teams, but he might not have been on the winning GPP team that night. And it was a good matchup for Brogdon. This is a much tougher matchup for Brogdon, if we're being honest. But 6.8K is probably still a little bit too cheap, despite the tough matchup. There is some validity to fading him because of that matchup. Indiana has a 106.5 team total, not one of the best on the slate. Of course, I mean, look at all these greens down here, and you've got more below here. So there's plenty of higher team totals to target here, but Brogdon's price is still definitely appealing for a guy who is actually the top fantasy point per minute producer on his team this season. I think his floor is around 5x, and even in a tough matchup, I think he has upside here because he can get you a double-double. He's going to grab you some rebounds, so yeah, I think Brogdon is a solid play. So then I think one thing we need to talk about for sure is that Kawhi Leonard has been ruled out. So we got to talk about these Clippers. We still don't have word on Paul George, but he wasn't on the injury report, so I think we're pretty much assuming he's going to play. Yeah, Kawhi being out really gives upside to all of these guys. Like, let's just start at the top where Paul George should continue to play higher minutes than this. This was a blowout last night. I think we'll see him around here tonight, 37 minutes, if this is a close game. It's a pace-up spot against Memphis. He's going to grab you stats in 3 different categories. He's going to grab you some defensive stats. I mean, 6 steals last night was insane. So, yeah, he's just going to get you those pretty regularly. His price is still kind of, in that range where you can play him in cash because he's under 9K. Once he hits that 9K range, it's going to be tough to really validate him. But at this point, the production has been there, especially without Kawhi. And I think he makes a lot of sense in this game, in a pace-up game against Memphis. So, but then the other 3 spots, I think I think Harkless is obviously one that we need to talk about because he will get a bump in minutes, probably up to like this 25 or 26. He's obviously not a very productive player, but I think that very clearly he is my favorite value. He could play up above 25 minutes in this game as well. I will say that with no Kawhi. It just kind of depends on the team they want to run on the floor, but. At 25 minutes, 3.5K, potential for 30 minutes at 3.5K. He's probably my favorite play right now. Obviously, there could still be injury news after I record this. He's my favorite play under $4,000 right now on DraftKings is Mo Harkless. I think I have a decent amount of exposure to him because of that. Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, both going to get usage boosts with no Kawhi. Even when they're on the floor with Paul George, they will find extra usage here with no Kawhi. And I expect their minutes floor to also raise a bit because they're going to need scoring with no Kawhi, likely, and Memphis can push them. So, that will help out Lou, especially at this price. He's under 7K. Definitely don't mind him at all. I think he's a very solid play in terms of I think his floor is probably like 30 points here with the upside of scoring like 45. So, that's a pretty nice range to be in. For Houston, a popular value forward that's coming in right now is Daniel House Jr. Daniel House Jr., he's just going to play a lot of minutes with Eric Gordon now is really the biggest thing here. Like, he got 35 minutes last game. He with these guys out, with Gordon out, Gerald Green, has been out all year. He's going to find a lot of minutes at the wing, and he's going to shoot threes. He's going to grab some defensive stats. He's not a very good fantasy point per minute producer so far this year, which is why I'd be inclined to possibly go under on him depending on the ownership. I'd have to, again, want to see. But I do like the spot just because the price is still relatively fine. 4.5K, nothing crazy there. And the minutes should be around 30 to 35, pretty regularly. So I feel like I'm talking about enough forwards on this slate. So I will talk, besides Paul George, There are some other guys. I think Jonathan Isaac is solid for GPPs. It's a very nice rebounding matchup against Cleveland. I think Blake Griffin makes a little bit of sense in a really nice rebounding matchup as well, but he has not been very productive. But this is definitely a spot where he could definitely find a lot of production in the paint. At 7K, has some upside. Talked about Harrell. LaMarcus Aldridge is under 7K in a pace-up matchup. And he's been shooting the ball a good amount. Like, I think he's very solid here for 5X. I'm not in love with him, but I think he's a solid play. He's going to project well at that 6.9K price. And then Julius Randle, another guy who's also going to project well. Anytime he drops this low with his usage and rebounding rates, he's definitely going to be someone that is on my radar. So I think if he fits in your lineup, he's a fine cash play because I love the floor of Randall. But I will be interested to see the ownership on him. I don't think it'll be very high. So I could be someone I could end up being over on because I really like the upside that you could get at 6.4K. You know, we've seen Randall score 50-point games multiple times at 6.4K. It's not the best of matchups. Obviously, that's something that I need to note. But yeah, he's definitely in play for me on this slate. And other than that, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. One more big man situation I'll mention. It's at the bottom of my notes. I didn't really write many notes about this, actually, but definitely interesting to me. Ishaq Diallo has played 36 minutes last game. Super, super talented dude. I mean, he's a young guy who came into the league very raw. He left KU really early, and they've given him starts at times, and he hasn't always come through. But if he's starting to play better this year, definitely have some interest in Shaq. I think he has a very high ceiling as a player. He's got extreme length. He can defend. So I really like Ishaq Diallo. At 4.1K, if he's going to be unowned, I'll get a little bit of him at this price just because we saw him play 36 minutes. If they start to phase out Kaminsky, if they start to get Sarge out the floor a little bit more, whatever they decide to do with those big man minutes, with Aaron Baines out, it opens up the door for Diallo to get big minutes. So, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. I also didn't mention it at the forward spot because I didn't scroll down that way. Jabari Parker, because I'm going through my notes one more time. It's another forward I wanted to mention, especially in if you're playing Bledsoe or Giannis, if you want to run it back with someone. I really am not a big fan of running it back in general, but in running it back in the sense that it needs to stay close for Giannis to reach an upside. So if you have a hawk, obviously this one being Parker, if he's scoring, hopefully it stays closer. Giannis needs to stay on the floor. Bledsoe needs to stay on the floor. Makes more sense in that regard. In general, though, don't really care about stacking games. With that said, thank you guys all so much for watching. Like I said, check us out at lockcfs.com. Grab a pass. Get into our Slack chat. We'll get you guys in there if you guys grab a pass. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys back here. Oh, I guess there's no video tomorrow for Thanksgiving. We'll probably have a private NFL video for tomorrow that I'm going to record tonight as I go through the slate. Because that's probably just the best way for us to do it for NFL tomorrow. So, NFL tomorrow, of course. And then we'll see you guys back here on Friday for the next NBA video, which is a massive, massive 13-game slate, 2 back-to-back big slates. We see you guys back here for that one. See you guys next time. Peace.